City Council regular meeting on Monday, August 24th, 2026 to order. All stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll have the roll call, please.
Mayor Donovan.
Here.
Councilwoman Niner. Here. Councilman Jimmer. Here. Councilman Patterson.
Here.
Councilman Ellis.
Quorum being present, is there any objection to the agenda as presented? Hearing none, it will be approved by unanimous consent. Is there any objection to the consent agenda as presented? Hearing none, it will be approved by unanimous consent. So the first item that we have is a presentation. Connie Whitlock, if you'd like to.
Hello. One of the things, I've got to keep me brief, because I know you guys have a long night. One of the things I love about small towns is our traditions. We have traditions that have been around so long that sometimes we forget that there was a first time. At some point, somebody had an idea. Somebody decided it was worth doing, and a tradition began. And I'd like to create one of those traditions. When PH Momac started the Cass County Fair Photo Contest, I was really looking for pictures because I can't be everywhere because I'm just one person right now. So I'm like trying to think, how are some ways that we can get some pictures? I really didn't know what to expect, but when the photographs started coming in, I was surprised by how much it touched me. I mean, it just really grabbed my heart. As a writer, I'm used to looking at the fair, thinking about what needs to be covered, the events, the people, the results, and the story. But these photographs showed something different. They showed the fair through the eyes of the people who were actually experiencing it. They captured little moments, what caught someone's eye, what made them stop, and what the fair looked and felt like to them. And this year, one photograph stood out. Everybody voted online. We had some fun with it. And Big Dreams in a Small Town, caught up in the magic of the arena, photographed by Layla Menino. She couldn't be here tonight. She's out of town, but she is a senior at PHHS. And it captures Levi Hanner and the Cass County Fair crowd. There's just something about it that feels really special. A young person, a crowd gathered together, and one of those moments that might otherwise come and go without ever being preserved. Since this is the City of Pleasant Hills Fair, and you guys do a great job, by the way. I don't know, as long as I've been here the last, 20, 30 years, it's just amazing. We felt this photograph belongs to you guys, the city, and with the community it represents. So on behalf of PH Momac, I am very happy to present the winning photograph from our first Cass County Fair photo contest to the City of Pleasantville.
Thank you.
Isn't that sweet? It's sweet. Yeah, they did a good job. There you go. You want to take a picture?
There you guys now look at me, I'll get you a picture.
Thanks. Thank you.
You gotta take one more picture.
Chief, could we have the signing table and bring it up here so that way we can have this thing set?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right here until we can get it put up on the wall?
We'll give it a college try. How's that?
That'd be perfect.
Hopefully we won't break it. By we, I mean me.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. I'm just sitting over it. All right, perfect.
Thank you, Connie. That is a phenomenal picture.
All right. I will, is there a motion to enter into a public hearing for the tax levy?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to enter into a public hearing for the 2026 tax levy. Do we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilwoman Niner,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dewar,
Yes.
Councilman Patterson,
Yes.
Councilman Nelly.
All right, we are now in a public hearing.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. The city is required to advertise and hold a public hearing in order to establish the annual tax rates. The rates are validated by the state auditor to determine the maximum allowable levies for each category. This public hearing is part of the annual process for setting the 2026 tax levy. The city did advertise in the city's tax levies in the Tribune Times at the maximum allowable rates, although they can be rolled back at the council's discretion. As you can see, we get assessed valuation from Cass County and Jackson County. We put those into the state auditor's pro forma. It calculates what our tax levy will be. So as you can see, the general fund, Parks and Rec, public health and transportation was the same as it is this last year, 2025. It's set the same. The debt levy, we advertise it at the maximum allowable rate of 1.0902. I recommend that we roll that back to 0.5559, which is what our tax levy was last year, fiscal year 25. Just one more thing, the additional revenue that this will bring in for the pro forma over all categories is $2,415.
And that's with the proposed keeping it the same.
Yes, that is correct.
Is there anyone from the public that would care to comment?
Is it about this or something else?
It would be about the tax levy. We're in the... Is there anything from the council to add? Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. We have a roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Niner,
Yes.
Councilman Dewar,
Yes.
Councilman Patterson,
Yes.
Councilman Nelly.
Yes.
All right. The public hearing is now closed. Now we'll open up the floor to public comment. Anyone who's wishing to speak on an item that is not on the agenda, please step to the mic, give us your name and address, and please remember to just address the council and keep your comments to under 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Debbie K. Hendrickson. I live at 1406 Glendale Avenue, and this is in regards to the children's crosswalks, school crosswalks. I did some homework because I didn't know whether to address this. It says in Missouri, both white pavement markings on the street and warning signs are required to officially and legally establish a designated school crosswalk. Signs alone are not sufficient. So I didn't drive everywhere to see, but I go by Country Club all the time, and I wanted to show you how the white lines are. They're not very good. And after I took the picture, I went on the crosswalk, and some lady she wouldn't let me know, she just went on through. I don't know if making it wider will help, but it definitely needs to be done, and they might check all the crosswalks for children, because that's a big safety issue. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a nervous person. You see it? Did you need to see it? Yeah. All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public?
John Self, 205 South Campbell. I'll try to be brief, I know you got a whole thing. In the work session, Carla Murray said something that really resonated with me. She said until you get the community involved, downtown specifically, but I think in general, all the civic engagement is useless. And that makes me really happy to see all these people here tonight. When I was going door to door, the the single biggest complaint I heard was, there's nothing to do in Pleasant Hill. And I hear people chuckling over that. I started looking into that, and I've seen where we've had scheduling conflicts with city events on our calendar and things with nonprofits here in town. People don't know when events are happening. We see meetings that aren't very well publicized. And I would like to ask the city to consider aggressively pursuing the calendar that's on the city website. Because most of the time when the people I talk to about this issue ask, what can we do, where can we find these things? I would say, well, go to Facebook. And about 60% of the time, they're not on Facebook, period. And that seems to be the city's primary method of communicating with residents. And the city website's available to everybody, the newsletter's available. But Connie Whitlock's calendar on her PHMO mag, if you think there's nothing to do in this town, you have not been on her calendar. There's something almost every night. And I feel like the city could incorporate that in a more public way so that residents can stop feeling like there's so little to do in this town. I understand not every event is family friendly, not every event is something you can publish, but I would like to ask the city to try and coordinate because there is plenty to do in Pleasant Hill. People just aren't caring about it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Point of information, is this for items not on the agenda or items not on the agenda?
For items
Okay.
not on the agenda.
Thank you.
All right, if there's nothing else from the public, we'll move on to items for consideration. The special event application of Notables Trail of Terror.
Hello. I'm Marion Colley. I am the Notables Vice President, and I live on registry. And I am wanting to ask for get approval for the Trail of Terror. We're changing the name this year back to what it used to be instead of the Haunted Trail in hopes that last year there were a lot of small kids. So we're hoping calling it Terror, maybe they won't be. But, so, yeah, just giving that approval. I have a couple amendments to my application because we've discussed since that there's a chance of a district football game that night. We won't know until that week, basically, or the week before. And we've really stretched it in scheduling this year. There's not many, or there aren't any other dates that would work. And so we were thinking that normally we ended at 9. And we were thinking if we ended it later, then more people could come after the game if it were to be a home football game. So I wasn't sure what that looked like, if there was like 11 o'clock, something like that. And another thing that is related-ish is that we may be making adjustments to our carnival that we do every year. And we had thought about for the younger kids before the trail starts, since it's the safe trick-or-treating, we've got the city's largest inflatable obstacle course. And so we were gonna do that and maybe bring a game or two from the carnival and pass out candy to incorporate all of it. But our concern was that there would be not income generated from the games, but part of the bounce house. So I don't know if I need to document that officially or if I can just say that, but that is my two things.
Where would you put
Where we usually have the tickets over in the field in front of the co-op. I don't know where the grain bins are. there's a big grass field, I don't know what the building is called. But that's where our table normally
It's the
sits.
elevator.
The
Yeah.
elevator, great
So
elevator.
I think the problem with that is that that land is not actually city-owned property.
Okay.
That's actually Carla Murray's property.
Um,
So you might want to have a conversation with her,
Okay,
and try to work something out with her.
okay.
I'm not sure how that's gonna work out, but, is there any city-owned property that's near there that, I mean, I don't know how big this,
It's
this
like
is.
75 feet long.
Oh, wow.
Because there is that other city lot over there, isn't there?
More than has trees.
But it has trees.
Okay. So that one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
We can talk.
we can talk.
Okay, okay,
We'll figure, I've got some stuff going on too, but we'll figure something out together.
okay.
okay.
So the main thing, I think, as far as, like, what they're doing extra in addition to the travel fair really is irrelevant to us, the council, correct? So, the main change that is relevant is the extension of the time.
Okay.
So we would need to modify this to account for that. Okay.
You're wanting to go till 11?
Yeah, I mean, that was a thought. I didn't know what our option would be, but I felt like 11, then we could be cleaned up and out by midnight-ish. Maybe some, but we try to clean up quick and get out and.
I did a trail for.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And what road closures do we need? They're on here, I know.
Okay.
I need to hear them.
So
Okay.
the road closures that they are requesting is the same as it's been in previous years. It would be barricades at Olive and Boardman, Paul and Boardman, and 175th and Boardman. So basically along Boardman Street at those intersections, just to keep people from entering the area.
We don't need, approval from any of the homeowners or property owners or anything like that, do we?
I mean, that's up to you all. I mean, in the past, it does not, because they can still access it. They can still access it. It just keeps vehicular traffic from
Okay, no, I'm fine
entering or
with that.
exiting.
Yeah, I just, when you said that, I thought maybe we should ask.
And then it's,
One question about, it's the timing, why is it 4 o'clock? Why do you need it closed by 4 o'clock?
Well, we set up, technically, as long as the blockades or whatever are available, we don't necessarily need to shut those off, because especially with the, like, we don't wanna block off parking for the safe trick or treating. So, maybe we would need it before 7, but we could, like, we have someone stationed at each block intersection, so they can pull them over, right when it's necessary.
And you just need an officer at 175th and Boardman.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right, yeah, we've had that.
And I know it says on here, Chief Clay, that may be an issue.
Got it. I think we'll be okay. We've got enough time.
Even going later.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine. Even if there's if there's a football game, and it's the same trail as we've been out stationed and posted for, so I think we can make it all work in cahoots.
Has it been a problem over there? Because I mean, I remember I used to be stationed over there, when my kids were going through that, as, the person that was guarding that blockade, so
At 175th,
yeah.
I think that there was only one person last year that tried to go through the ways, or, I don't know, I was all over the place last year, so I'm not sure exactly, but I don't think, there hasn't been
Any major problems or anything?
fighting
Okay.
or.
Okay.
I do.
I would make a motion to approve their, special events application with those amendments. Other than, I would like to see us take putting the barricades up at 4 p.m.
Okay,
I think we need to get through safe trick or treating.
okay, but what if they're there and just not put out? Okay, yeah, I don't think that would be a problem. So,
Councilwoman Niner, if I may, I think also the time at 4 o'clock, and if I recall, and we can go back and look at previous applications, was not always that the barricades were out that early, but at that point is also when we shut the trail down to public use so that they can set up. So it's kind of an all-inclusive timeline, of their request, not necessarily, maybe the memo that we put together wasn't worded exactly, but I don't think the barricades have ever been out as of 4 o'clock, but that's kind of when their request starts because the trail will shut down so they can set up.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
And typically, we don't always have safe trick or treat on the same night we have the.
Well, yeah,
That
because this
is
is normally on Saturday.
it's normally a Saturday and band and things.
The barricades may very well have been out at that point because it was a Saturday and not a weekday, so.
Which I don't remember, yeah, the chamber we had talked to them about this and thought it was actually kind of a complimentary, event for the downtown area all the time. Cause their event ends at 6 o'clock.
So do we have the ticketing area, is that gonna be taking place on your property, Carla? Or is that not? Am I confused on that?
You want me to ask the question now, or you want me to wait? We'll figure it out, okay?
Okay.
So don't panic, so we'll figure
yeah.
something out.
I'm not kidding.
I turned in and I've been working with Missy on, putting food trucks on that lot, as we planned to do with the UDC and all that, finally done. I had food trucks scheduled there that night, because I didn't know these guys were gonna be there, and I thought, what an opportunity, when we got 4 to 6 safe retreating, I could put food trucks on that. I'm fine with it being shut off, and I can limit the food trucks where we can put the obstacle course there, but will people be able to get to my business, basically, or will they not be able to go through the barricades to get to the business? Sorry,
Foot traffic would be okay.
Foot traffic,
Yeah.
will get through. Okay,
Yeah,
that was my
it's
question.
just for cars.
We'll the rest of it we'll figure out together.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'll go back to my motion and leave the 4, just 4 to 11, leave it as.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other comments from council? Is there any other comments from the public? Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Niner,
Yes.
Councilman Duma,
Yes.
Councilman Patterson,
Yes.
Councilman Elliott.
Thank you, guys.
There you go. All right, the next item for consideration is the road closure request for 306 Cedar Street.
Thank you, sir. Recently, our Historic Preservation Commission, had a meeting to allow for the demolition of the building commonly known as the Tucker Hotel, located at 306 Cedar Street. With this demolition, the property owner / applicant is asking for permissions to close Cedar Street between Taylor and, I'm sorry, I just lost it, Veterans Parkway, beginning at 7 a.m. this Thursday, August 27th, and remain closed until 5 p.m. on August 28th. This will just allow him time to complete the demolition, and for safety reasons, to keep the patrons of the city safe while they're doing their demolition. I'm sorry, I should add, he's also asking that the alleyway that is currently blocked to remain blocked at least through September 2nd, so that that allows for sufficient cleanup, and regrading of the property as well.
Do you have any kind of memorial for that? I feel like it needs some recognition.
Yeah.
Is there a motion from the council?
I'll make a motion to approve the road closure request.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion from council on it? Is there any comment from anyone in the public? All right, with the motion in the second, we will have a roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Ryder?
Yes.
Councilman Beamer?
Yes.
Councilman Patterson?
Yes.
Councilman Elliott?
Yes.
The road closure is granted. The next item for consideration is budget amendment 2027-04, the public works parking lot and fuel tanks.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I bring forth a request to carry forward, it's budget amendment 2027-04. It's for public works fuel tank and parking lot. As I stated in my year-end financials, I was going to bring forth a few budget amendments to carry forward expenditures that I estimated last year. They just are going to want to be paid this year because they weren't finished at the end of the year. It does not affect our fund balance at all. It is moving the expenditure from last year and estimate to this year's budget. So I request a budget amendment 2027-04 for $28,617 to the account, GL account, I call it 15-515-5012 in capital improvement sales tax.
I'll make a motion to approve. Budget amendment 2027-04.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any comment from, or discussion from council? Is there anyone in the public that would like to? All right, motion and a second. We'll have roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Ryder?
Yes.
Councilman Beamer?
Yes.
Councilman Patterson?
Yes.
Councilman Elliott?
Yes.
That budget amendment has passed. The next item for consideration is budget amendment 2027-05 for public works renovations.
Thank you, Stephen. I have a few here tonight. This one is budget amendment 2027-05. It's the public works renovation carry forward. Council last year approved renovating the public works building. A portion of it was not completed until this year. I did have it in my year-end estimates, so I just want to carry forward $14,000 from last year's budget to this year, so it does not affect our fund balance. It would go into account 10-510-4500. That's my general ledger account.
I'll make a motion to approve budget amendment, 2027-06 for the city hall.
We're on 05.
What?
We're on 05.
Four, did I say four?
No, you said 5, she said.
Okay. I might. You might. Unless it was in there.
This is
Sorry.
That's why,
2027-05,
that's
sorry.
what I go through with all these tabs on.
I didn't lift my fingers enough.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion with the council? Any comment from the public? Or roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Ryder?
Yes.
Councilman Beamer?
Yes.
Councilman Patterson?
Yes.
Councilman Elliott?
Yes.
All right, the next item for consideration is budget amendment 2027-06, the city hall roof replacement.
All right, thank you. As part of our fiscal year 26, we budgeted to spend $200,000 last fiscal year on the city hall renovation, or city hall roof replacement. I would request budget amendment $175,260 to be carried forward to this year. We did spend $24,740 of that budget last year. So this is the remainder. This is, we estimated in our year, and this is not the same budget amendment that we did prior to the city hall. That was an additional expense that you guys approved. This is just a carry forward from last fiscal year to this year. And that would come out of general ledger account 15-515-5060.
And what did we spend the $24,000 on already?
It was some on engineering and I think part of the, canopy over the ATM.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve budget amendment 2027-06.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion with council? Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak? We'll have a roll call vote, please.
Councilman Ryder?
Yes.
Councilman Beamer?
Yes.
Councilman Patterson?
Yes.
Councilman Elliott?
That budget amendment has. The next item for consideration is also a budget amendment. It's budget amendment 2027-07, the Second Street parking lot carry forward.
Thank you. Just like the prior three budget amendments, this is budget amendment 2027-07. It's the Second Street parking lot carry forward. We budgeted and I estimated it at our year-end fiscal year because we do our estimates 2 months before our actual budget gets approved. So I budgeted spending the $96,800 last year. I just need to request getting it carried forward to fiscal year 27. This does not affect our fund balance percentage, and it would be coming out of 15-515-5060.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget amendment 2027-07.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion from council? Is there anyone in the public who would like to speak on this item? We'll have a roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Nyder?
Yes.
Councilman Beamer?
Yes.
Councilman Patterson?
Yes.
Councilman Elliott?
Yes.
The next item for consideration is the Veterans Parkway traffic improvement.
Thank you, Mayor. As Kyle is bringing this up, this is a discussion we had at the last council meeting regarding some improvements for traffic flow and parking on Veterans Parkway. So last week, our last council meeting, there was quite a bit of discussion. We wanted to make sure that a lot of people had an opportunity to see what we were looking at doing. So if you want to go to the next slide. So I just put together some brief information, kind of give you an overview of what we have existing now. So existing parking spots on Veterans Parkway right now is 58 total parking spots. We have 10 on the west side, 23 on the east side angled, 14 on the west side, which would be south of Paul, and then 11 parking spots down around commercial, which is down in front of the PD. So this was the proposed concept that we had all state consultants draw up. I tried to get you guys to come in here today, but they had conflict with their schedule, so we just discussed this over the phone last week. And their proposal, or what they were tasked to do, was to try to find a way to improve our traffic flow, improve our pedestrian safety, and to try to get us some more parking spots. So with their concept, they come up with a total of 61 total parking spaces in that area, same area. So there is 10 on the west side angle. East side would go to 20 parallel parking spaces. And then there would be 9 on the west side, south of Paul Street. And then new on Locust. There would be 4 new on Locust. And then Commercial Street would have a new 18, which is that little parking area. So that would be turned into a one-way street, which will allow us to have parking on both sides to be able to back out. So this was the alternate concept. That there was a lot of talk. We had some talking at our last council meeting regarding removing the parallel on the west side and leaving the angled parking on the east side. So with this, we would have 10 angled on the west side. The east side would be 22 angled, because we would lose 1 spot by the stop sign at Cedar and Veterans Parkway because of visibility. The other thing with that stop sign up in that corner, this alternate concept, would be that we'll shove that stop sign out farther into that intersection, which will restrict traffic flow for trucks and trailers to come make it around that corner. The new east side, you'd have 4 parallels down by the park right there. You'd have the 4 on Locust. And then the west side parallels, you'd have 0. and then Commercial Street doing that at 18, for a total of 58, so it would be a wash, basically, on parking spots. So, and then if you go to the next slide, this is, part of the reason that we're looking for this is because of the bottleneck that ends up here in front of the post office. This is our MoDOT business route 7. So you can see the black line, that is the Missouri State designated business route that comes down through post. My concept would reroute that, or at least give an alternate route to come down Cedar Street, turn on Veterans, go all the way down, turn on Commercial, and hit 58, and go back out. So, I just wanted to present that, kind of gives you a little bit better of an idea of how many parking spots we were looking at and why we were looking at this. So, we can just open it up to comments and questions if you'd like.
Is there anything from the council on this?
I just want to make sure that we have plenty of time for public comment.
When, do we have any signs that, say no trucks over, the tractor trailer trucks I'm talking, is there any way that, is there any signs down there that would port to 58 to go down to 7 on 68?
No, at this time, no, we don't have anything. That's probably something that we could put in place, but that was I would have to work with MoDOT on the business route before we could ever designate that or change it.
I'm not sure. What are you asking?
Well, there's like the big trucks. I don't see why they need to be coming up this road. When they're out 58, they just turn right and go to 7 Highway instead of coming down, going from Cedar, they would go
Because
down.
he made the point that they're gonna have to move that stop sign out there in the middle of the road. And that's gonna be the problem, if you're turning right, you got a little truck.
And even with a large dually pickup with a long trailer, it's gonna make that more difficult. Not necessarily just with semis or tractor trailers.
You have to leave the road open for tractor trailers going to the
Okay.
elevator.
If you want to make a comment, you're gonna have to come to the podium, okay? Okay, is there anything else from?
My other concern is the one-way in front of the police station. I think there's gonna be a little bit of a learning curve there, but I guess if we sign it up just right, I can live with that.
Yeah. And that was all designed by all states, so the signage will all be in place with this project.
Is there a stop sign right now at Cedar and Veterans? I'm just drawing a blank.
No.
No,
It's a three-way right now.
It's a three-way.
Which is part of the problem, where,
It's very
right, people are.
I mean, I've lived here 45 years and I've never had a problem with stopping.
I know I've had almost hit a couple times.
I'm with Don, I've almost stopped in front of somebody. Same
If there's nothing more from the council, we'll open up the floor to public comments. Again, please come to the microphone, state your name and address, and I just ask that you address the council and you keep your comments to under 3 minutes.
Connie Whitlock, 24503 East 72nd Terrace. If it's a wash and parking spots, why can't we just change the road or not change or put a better stop sign?
Well, it's not a wash and parking spots. The alternate concept from what it is currently is a wash. The proposal is actually 61 parking spots.
3 more?
So we'll get 3 more parking spots out of there.
Is it cost effective to make 3 extra spots instead of making them, I think they're kind of wide in some areas. I don't know if we can figure them, I don't know, but.
Well, I think the biggest thing is with the initial proposed concept, it's all parallel parking on the east side. Whereas with the alternate concept, if you keep the angle parking and you lose
On
some of the
Veterans Parkway?
parallel parking right there across from the post office.
Right. Like across the street from the post office, not in front of the post office.
Yeah, the situation with it is so that way we can get two cars to actually go down that road at the same time. That's the
Okay,
goal.
in front of the post office.
Right.
Okay, it's kind of slim right now.
So,
You're
right, so in order to do that, we have to eliminate something, right? So it either goes from angle to parallel along that side, and then it's open, or we gotta eliminate the parallel on the other side.
Yeah, it's kind of parallel.
And so that's where it's at. And if we eliminate the parallel on the other side, we're not gonna be, like, we're gonna have the same number of parking spots. However, if we go with the proposal, we'll actually gain 3 more parking spots.
Jean Peakston, I'm at 1502 Broadway. One clarification, are you talking about parallel parking all the way down from the post office clear to Cedar?
Yes.
We need to take into consideration, I work at the thrift store, we have a lot of seniors. I don't think they can parallel park. They have walkers, and they have canes, and they can park close to the thrift store. You take away from that parking, we're hurting.
Well, you'll still have the angled parking over here by the Memorial Building. So it would literally just be walking across the street, which then there would be a stop sign there. So that way, it's not a situation where you're trying to cross as people are just going through that.
I can't see that, I'm sorry. So, and why, could you just knock out the parking there across from the post office in front of the old library?
And that is the alternate proposal.
That is the alternate.
The alternate
Okay.
proposal, and that's what's going to be a net, it's gonna be a wash of parking spots.
Okay.
We're not gonna gain any parking by doing
Well,
that.
that's okay, but this alternate looks better than the other parallel. I'm afraid for this.
I think you bring up a valid point because it makes them getting out into
It's scary for them, where it's angled parking lot, they don't have to worry about banging their door, somebody banging it when they get out parallel parking. Or getting their walker and all that. Just a thought.
Okay.
Thank you.
John, if I could just mention one thing, with leaving angled parking on that east side, that also minimizes the visibility of people backing in and out. It makes it not as safe as the parallel, because the visibility off of the parallel is much greater than off of an angled parking spot.
Yeah, because they're basically gonna be backing up.
You almost have to back out completely into that lane in order to be able to see if there's somebody.
I'm Debbie K. Hendrickson, 1406 Lawndale Avenue, Pleasant Hill, Missouri. And last time I was here, and this time, never heard, how much is this costing, and where is the money coming from? I'm just curious. Thank you.
It was in the initial, this part of it was what, 1,800 for painting and everything and signs? It was in our last deal.
No, I don't
It's not my
have,
trust.
this is basically, we're gonna go to bid with
Yeah,
this. We
so-
have kind of an estimated
I guess
cost.
I misunderstood that.
Right, I mean, so the situation with it is, before we even go out for bid and try to figure out how much this is gonna cost us, we wanna make sure that the plan going forward, that, that it's approved, that we go forward with this type of plan, because if this is something that's not gonna, be passed by the council, then there's no point in trying to put it out for bid and everything else, so that's why we're going through this process now.
Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you already figured out. You're just trying to get everybody's approval.
Connie Whitlock, 24503 East Homestead and Second Terrace. One thing, I noticed there's not a lot of crosswalks in town. And a lot of people walk there. I watched from over there, and I can see on the diagram, there's not many crosswalks. But we have a discount when they do that and like touch up on Myrtle and 7 as well, because a lot of kids walk that way from school and make it wider and yellow or whatever. I've seen kids run and cars don't see them, but they could do a little more in crosswalks too.
Do you own a business here in Pleasant Hill?
I'm sorry?
Do you live in the city limits or own a business in Pleasant Hill?
I do not live in the city limits, but I have a business that I'm, yes.
Alan Brown at 116 Veterans Parkway here. So I'm a proponent of the revised, and I understand the danger there in front of the post office, but pretty much everyone I've talked to on Veterans Parkway is not for this. I know the math says that we're gaining 3 spots, but that's like for an elderly person going, most of those spots are on Commercial Street. That's 2 blocks away. And so for me, like I have my foot traffic here, like 15, 20,000 people, 99% of them park either parallel in front of my shop or the business next door. So to lose the spaces in front of us, it's gonna be a problem. Or also talking someone into buying a 20-gallon crock and carrying it 2 blocks. It's gonna be a deciding factor. And so I guess my big thing is I don't know anybody that wants this who's on Veterans Parkway. And also I think it is a busy street, so I think people trying to parallel park, especially maybe a older demographic of people on Veterans Parkway, maybe not, it's going to create a bottleneck. And also, I don't mean any contempt, but I've been downtown for 8 years, and I think I've seen white paint like maybe 15% of the time on the street. So if we're not marking these parallel spots, they're already been decreasing the spots. It's just going to be like somebody here and someone a spot and a half up here, and it's really going to be limited parking in front of our businesses. So that's my opinion.
Can't be brought up 400 South State, Route 7. It's probably been brought up, you guys probably thought about it, right? But what's the feasibility of just creating that Parkway as a one-way and increasing or leaving the lane for parking as it is? Much like you're not Commercial Street, just following it through Veterans Parkway.
Well, I think the whole thing is if it's gonna be, Missouri Business 7, it can't be a one-way street, it has to be a 2-way.
Yeah.
I have a question. Carla Murray, 300 North Campbell Street, Pleasant Hill, Missouri. And this would probably be something that Tony would have to answer, but so I understand why we need to do this, because I understand that it's Missouri Business 7, and I understand downtowns have to be walkable, and you're not always gonna have a parking space just right. I'm not either when I do things down here, because that's not the purpose of a downtown, right? But with that being said, if we want a business 7, right? Because you want people to have a business district where you do come downtown, you can go hit 58. You don't want to lose that. If it goes back, if we don't do this and we don't widen this enough to make that happen, and we keep it on Wyoming and First Street where it's typically been in the past, what's going to happen to Wyoming and First Street to allow that traffic to flow through there? So what are the consequences if we don't do this fully at Veterans Parkway and it doesn't meet the criteria that we need for MoDOT to have business highway go down Veterans Parkway? And we keep it on Wyoming Street to First Street? What has to change on Wyoming Street to First Street to make that happen? Does that make sense? Okay.
I get your question. I think right now it's more of a consideration of the bottleneck in front of the post office. I think my feeling is the Missouri 7 thing is, the business 7 is more of a secondary consideration in this process. And there is a bottleneck there, and that's how we're all here.
My name's J.R. Brown. I live at 800 Coachman Drive in Pleasant Hill. And I've just heard several people comment about elderly parking for the thrift store. I know that would also be an issue for the Big Creek Country Show that brings in a fairly large audience when they have shows. I just wanted to add that I'm 40 years old, and my wife's 42, I have a 16-year-old daughter, and none of us are any good at parallel parking.
Well, that is a good point, because I talked to several people about this. they suggested that I put it out for question. Raise your hand if you're good at parallel parking.
Yeah. All of you, raise your hand. No,
I'm much better now that I had a camera.
Julie Brown, 116 Veterans Parkway. I also want to echo that people here could be here tonight, but it is a concern for their elderly customers. They're not going to parallel park, and you're causing them to walk farther. The spots you're adding are on Commercial Street, and that's not going to work for their clientele. I would say angled parking, all cars manufactured after 2012 have a backup camera, so it will beep at you as you're backing up and if there's someone coming. I also think if you move the parallel parking on that street, the traffic's going to move faster. And that's just more of a safety concern for those elderly or any customer getting out of their car, people with small kids. So, thank you.
Sir?
Mike Cook, 100 Veterans Parkway. I actually live in Lee Summit. But I'm pretty good at math. You guys been in the thrift store knows that. But I went over and I measured that all off. And there is not going to be more parking, parallel parking. You have 26 spaces if you count the handicap and in between the handicaps. If you go to parallel parking, you go to 15. That's 11 less parking spaces. If you change that, you have to change the ADA and come up to new standards of 2010 regulations. Right now, we're sitting at the 1990 ADA regulations for handicap parking. You have to take all that into consideration because you must have 24 foot for a parallel parking for a handicap spot. By state law, you have to have 20 feet for a parallel parking. Right now, we're 12 and a half feet on your angle parking of curb space. So you're going to lose. So you're going to go down to 15 where you can take out the 11, put a line down the middle of the road so people know where the center of the street is, and place police officers up there to get these guys who are going 50 miles an hour around that curve. That's why people almost get hit out there when they're backing out.
So, one thing I just wanted to mention to you, one of the problems we're gonna have is by turning that into a four-way stop. That's where we're losing some of the angle parking. Okay? So the amount of angle parking that's actually gonna be able to be there because of where the stop sign has to be placed, in order to have a line of sight to that stop sign, all of the angle parking that's there currently will not be able to remain there.
Crazy pushback.
Granted, I haven't been here that long, only 6 years, sitting right there on that corner. In the 6 years, I have not seen an accident. So you get people honking horns because people stop at the stop sign, it's not there. But you just need to slow people down. Why why put a stop sign there? It's been a three-way stop as long as I've been here. I don't know how much longer it has. I know they put a curb out there, put a stop sign out there, and it didn't work because the trucks couldn't get around it. If you stick that stop sign out there, they're not gonna get around it. I have seen this stop sign up here taken out twice. One from a lady looking to see what we had on the street at the thrift store, the other one was similar. But I haven't seen a wreck. And even with the fire trucks coming through there at 60 miles an hour and not stopping at that stop sign, there hasn't been a wreck.
Tony, do we have an option
Thank you, sir.
to do some lights rather than having that sign stick out there and restrict the trucks? Because if they're taking it out of the curb already, then that dog ain't gonna hunt.
I mean, I guess that would be an option we could look at. I'd have to go back to Allstate to his comment, the measurements and all that stuff were done by engineer. This was an engineering project. You're still gonna have to have that stop sign stuck out there because people are coming northbound on Veterans Parkway. They will not be able to see that stop sign unless it's
Because the cars are there.
because you have angled parking and it will block the visual to that stop sign.
But we couldn't hang a flashing light in the middle of the
The plan is to keep the stoplight or the flashing light that's there and change the one lens to red instead of amber.
Very good.
So it indicates
Yes.
a four-way stop.
It's changed over the years. It's changed over the
It
years.
is there.
I never noticed.
Yeah, it's been there. When I was a kid, I was proud of our two flashing lights. They didn't have any stoplights.
Is there any other comment from the public?
John Salt again. To Brenda's point, if you stop traffic down there, you have to remember that there's trucks that need to serve the.
I got to, yeah, that I can.
Sorry to interrupt you. One thing I do want to raise awareness of is that we do have a lot of parking on Depot Drive, and we're sitting there talking about how we need to improve the depot. So I think promoting that as an option would work, and it's actually technically closer to a lot of that stuff than the parking down there on Commercial Street, and it would also serve the changes to the depot. If you go parallel parking on the east side, remember, people are stepping out of those cars into traffic. If you leave it parallel, but you get rid of the parallel parking on the west side, you do have more room for cars to back out with angled parking because all of the traffic can move over. And then my personal request is, whatever you do with the changes on Veterans Parkway, maybe save the changes at Locust and Commercial Street. Come back in 6 months or a year after you've made this change and make sure that you're okay with this change before you spend a bunch of money making that change. Kind of do the scientific method and make sure that you're not inducing other problems if one spell swoop. So, thank you. Thank you.
My name is Ed Clemens. I live at 27309 East 155th Street, which is on the north end of town. As I sit here looking at my notes, most of my thunder's been stolen, but a couple of things I did experience this morning. Before I started, I talked to the people at the post office, which is interesting. There's 188 active post office boxes in that post office. I go to the post office every morning to get my mail. I see the same people every morning getting their mail. There's 188 post office boxes open in that post office for people to come get their mail. The thing I did this morning, I was a little late to work. I sat and watched for a while. So I'm sitting down by the depot from 8:10 to 9 o'clock. No, 8:10, 9:10. 8:10 to 9 o'clock. 40 vehicles went north on that road. 68 came south in that time period. The issue I see, and what was interesting, during that time, 4 people stopped on the parallel side to go to the post office. They didn't pay attention to the line, they stopped right even with the door of the post office. Got out and walked across the traffic to the post office. There's no crosswalks there. One lady went to her car and got a baby that couldn't get over 4 months old. Picked her up and carried her across the street twice. There's no crosswalks. They're walking across that traffic all the time. So, the issue that I want to raise, and they've been here, the thrift store is open 3 days a week. It's busy. I did talk to the lady that owns People's Theater, Jen. She asked me to put her comments in for her. She's opposed to the changes. She supports the one that eliminates the parallel parking on in front of the old library, whatever you call it, okay? But a thought is, why don't you just eliminate that parking, say, between 8 and 4:30, like they do in the cities? No parking this side at 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. That way the spaces are available in the evening. They're available for special functions. People can park there when they go to the theater. Moving the parking down the road from the theater, you're gonna have all those people having to hike up a hill that go to the theater, that's what Jen pointed out to me. And a lot of them are gonna do it. You saw the signs, everybody's good at parallel parking, oh yeah. Go ahead, we're gonna have a test later. And especially if you're over 60, hold up your hand. So my point is, and a lot of it's been already said, is I like the alternative plan better. And Tony, by the way, if you need help with the state of Missouri keeping the big trucks out of the city, call me. I'll be happy to help you. After them fixing my corner out there on the highway, there's several of those people know me. Okay, they always do, trust me. In fact, there's a memo going around about it, okay? So my point of it is, stop the big trucks from coming through town. Local deliveries only. Good idea. You know where Hugh Hill Road is? Goes west of 58. I've made a lot of money on trucks going down Hugh Hill Road, because they're not allowed on Hugh Hill Road. If you can stop big trucks on Hugh Hill Road, why can't you stop them coming through the middle of town?
They have to get the.
Okay, local deliveries, but the ones cutting through, let them go down the highway and go up the highway. Keep them out of our town. Because they tear down stop signs, they run over stuff. And, you know, we really don't need them. They're not gonna stop anyway. They're not your customers. Limit the size of the trucks. Idea, limit the parking Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. Save the spots, they're good the rest of the time. And, you know, like, I'm serious, Tony, if you need help, I'll be happy to talk to state with you. But I think your alternative plan is better. There's 188 people get their mail there. I can still see that lady carrying her little child across that street with those cars coming down the hill this morning as I was watching. And thinking how many older people park there across the street to go to the post office. People coming down here. No, not twice. 50% more than we're gonna have. Are coming down the hill, they're going up the hill. So eliminate parking on that side, give them space to go down, leave it the way it is. And I kind of agree with yourself. Try that for a while and see what else you need to change. I've never seen a wreck there. So, you know, the people in the theater don't want it to change. He spoke for himself. Trust me, all the people I've talked to at the post office don't want it to change. There's people gonna get to the post office. Oh, 4 of those people stopped this morning carrying packages in. One of them was older, carried a big package. The rest of them got out of their cars, carried packages up the step, came back 15 minutes later when they mailed them. And if you think about them having to parallel park and then get packages out of the car in traffic, they go around and go up the steps to the post office. So, in light of my conversation, my emphasis is on the post office. My emphasis is on safety. Safety, I would keep the big trucks out unless they got a special delivery. And use the alternative plan, please. Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else further from the council?
Well, I guess my only question would be to my fellow members of council is this something that we should sit down as a group and have a cohesive plan, or we will pass one of these concepts?
I'm not sure. I'm not in favor of parallel parking on Veterans Parkway. This is our forum to talk about it, so I think we should talk about it here.
Well, for me, I'm not gonna vote for it either.
Well, what about that alternative concept that has the?
I would have potentially approved that.
I'm just concerned about the stop sign. I am concerned about the stop sign there. So I don't know that we have a good answer. That I have a good feeling about all of it.
I kind of agree with, I kind of agree with Zach that maybe we need to be discussing this a little bit more, because I agree with Jessica. I agree with what John said. I think we can do so many changes that we have unintentional consequences. I'm not in favor of parallel parking.
We need in order for us to move forward with either one of these options, we would need a motion from the council.
Well, what I'm saying is, can we make a motion to have a session where we get together with Tony, other people from the city, and we hammer this out, and then we approve it in open session at some point?
I would say that our options right now are to have a motion to accept the proposal or to accept the alternate concept. Anything else will go back to Tony, and then it'll work its way back from there. So if there's no motion to approve the original concept or the alternate concept, it will die for lack of a motion, or there could be a motion for either one of them. The public comment times.
You can have a motion to table it.
Well, I mean, it's not gonna be, if there's no motion, it's gonna go back to Tony to have him figure out what else to do. So.
Well, so are we in agreement that the initial concept that was proposed is a non-starter? Okay, we're in agreement on that, so we can set that aside.
So now the question is,
we can just table it.
So, yeah. I
Look
mean,
at this and an alternate proposal to this.
So if the council is not willing to go forward with the alternate concept, then we can have this just die for lack of a motion, or.
I would say that we let it die for a lack of emotion, emotion. And, till we come back to us with another plan.
Yeah, so I guess we would need some more direction on what you would be looking for in an alternate plan for us to go back to the engineers, because the alternate concept before you is what Tony and the engineers developed after the last conversation. So if there's something different from this, that's feedback that we need for the engineers.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to form an alternate concept to the alternate concept that doesn't involve a one-way road in front of the police department.
We don't need a motion, they just need direction.
Well, I had to make it last time to table it.
I would like to know what our other options are as far as the stop sign. Does it have to come all the way out where it's at?
That's an important piece.
That's my biggest problem with.
Does there have to be a stop sign?
Is there,
Can we explore?
if you remove the, island that's at the corner down here, veterans, like, at Veterans and Cedar, that comes out into the road a little bit, yeah.
Up a Depot Drive.
If we were to remove that, I know it's new, but would that?
All that does is block the angled parking.
You cannot remove that and remain angled parking.
I just was thinking it would widen that a little bit or something.
Because you have angled parking on both sides. You have it on the east side of the memorial building and on the north side of the memorial building. So you have to have that curb or striping or whatever to fit that angled parking.
I'd like to see what they can come up with as far as signage. I really like the idea about time of day. I work in the city all the time, and there's no parking at certain times of the day. That might be a better option, and that type of thing. I don't know if they look at that or talk to them or not, but maybe they can come back with that.
Yeah, and that was something I would have to look at with MoDOT as well as far as the business traffic.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Because it would have to be, in my opinion, it would have to be open all the time.
And we will also have to talk with the engineers about if we're going to need to increase the task order with them, because at some point the funds that we allocated for this will run out, and the engineers with the more concepts that we asked them to design for us as well.
Yes, that is correct.
So did we ask for, was our concept for a stop sign there because we're having accidents there?
So my understanding is that a previous council asked staff to work with the engineers on developing a plan that would improve the traffic flow and safety here. So this is the plan that the engineers have developed that does those things. So from an engineering perspective, this is their recommendation to you all. So if there are other things that you want us to look at, we'll have to weigh whether or not the engineering perspective is more important in this conversation or some of the other things that have been brought forward for you all to consider.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think if we're going back to the engineers, we need to just tell them that parallel parking's out of the picture. Because that's not, I mean, I don't feel like that's gonna fly with the council.
Yeah,
And the public absolutely doesn't want parallel parking.
If I was gonna make a motion, I would accept the alternative concept. The stop sign, it might be an issue, I mean, but you know what, if they can't make a right turn there, they should just turn right on 58 and they'll learn. But, because most of those trucks that are gonna come up 58 to the drain have to turn left. And if they're making that turn, to me, I don't know, I don't like drive big trucks, but if they're currently making the left turn.
One thing that we could do, I know Allstate was unable to be here tonight for this conversation, but there are some questions here that, we're not engineers, so we're not giving you the exact engineering answers, so we could ask, if you wanted to do this, we could ask them to attend the next meeting so that they could answer some of these questions, because maybe they did look at the stop sign and, figured out what worked and what didn't, but I can't speak to that, so maybe that would help answer some of the questions that you have. That's just a suggestion.
So are we good with tabling it until we can talk to the engineers, or?
I'll make a motion to table the name, the alternate concept.
Veterans Parkway Traffic Improvement.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is that, when we table it to such time as they would be available? Because what I don't want to do is have it on the next meeting and then not also be able to be at that meeting either.
Yeah, I would want it to be there.
All right.
I did invite them, they had a conflict, so I will invite them again, see if we can get them.
Yeah, let's just work it out with them. Okay, do we just do it all in favor for that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that is tabled until, the, engineers can be here to discuss again. The next item for